But anyway, but first off, I mean, how you guys doing? You good?
I am holding up.
You're holding up?
That's an answer.
I'm good. I'm good.
Ron, you're standing by waiting, right?
Me?
Yeah.
To speak or for a job?
No, well, that too, but no, just for, I mean, you seem like you're a social guy.
Yeah, these sorts of things are difficult for me because I'm like a golden retriever. I like human interaction. I'm at my best doing that. So instead of like stress eating I'm just stir crazy. So I stress work out, if that makes sense. And it's not for vanity. It's like meditation to just, I always feel great after I do that. And prior to doing that, I'm like, oh my God, the sky is falling.
Yeah. I know. I think Ian and I are similar in the sense that I don't mind the isolation very much. I don't mind it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's different from the standpoint that I'm truly isolated. I'm alone. You get to be a daddy, you get to be a husband.
Yeah. Well, okay. So besides being able to see and hear you guys again, which has been, I wasn't prepared for how good it would feel to talk to you guys, like face to face, as it were. So I'm kind of enjoying that part of it anyway. But it's we're like a month into this now, 6 weeks now.
March 14th
that was when it started, right? March 14th?
I guess I'm going by Disneyland calendar.
Right. Well, that's what I'm going by. Yeah. I mean, it kind of was before that. I was already, I guess the last time I went to the park was the 7th or the 8th, I think.
Yeah, that would be the weekend.
Yeah, that was that weekend, but before that. But in any case, Ronnie, I don't know. Ian and I were just talking about it before you connected, but there was a rumor posted by WDW Magic or on their boards on the forum about some new. Well, you probably heard the protocols before that they were talking about no parades, no fireworks, anything that would create a group when they were thinking about opening up Disneyland again, or any park for that matter. There's more information has come out, or I shouldn't say come out, leaked, rumored. Nobody knows if it's real or not, but I don't know. I'll ask you, Ian. I don't know if you actually read the text of the leak, but the language being used was very like official sounding.
I wouldn't read that much into it because once someone's posting onto a forum, it's being filtered through the poster.
True. But they copy and pasted it. I'm gonna actually. They didn't post it.
What is the context we were talking about? Because I like months and months and months down the road. I'm not even entertaining the conversation unless that's the case.
Summer. Walt Disney. This is for Walt Disney World in the summer, and this is because they've got a governor in Florida who's just ready to be a test case for opening up the economy again. They've already opened up.
They can still choose just to not open themselves. They don't have to open just because the government says they're allowed to.
Well, right, and I was gonna. That's a point that I think is worth making, and one that I would have made at some point, I think. But yeah, the Florida is planning to open up the state by summer, I think, and they've been in communication, according to this rumor. They've been in communication with Disney as being part of that process, obviously, because that's like their biggest, whatever you call it, entertainment or whatever, besides the sports franchises and Universal. And I think, Ian, you said it was, what do they call it, a secure circuit. Do you know
that was the terminology being used.
Is that a term that was created for this, or is that something that existed prior to this situation happening? I've never heard of secure circuit.
I think it's just what they're just referring to that set of policies as, just the idea that they're being, I don't know, it seems it's in the name.
Okay. All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw some line items at you that's from this rumor that, like I said, to my eye, looks like a copy paste from something that like notes from a meeting. in bullet points. Number one, Magic Kingdom reopens with limited capacity, no theaters, no parades, no castle shows, no fireworks. Pretty typical, right? That's kind of what we were expecting, I would think, right?
Yeah.
I guess I need timeline because none of that. Yeah, because like, are you saying it becomes confusing? They're going to gradually open based on that, which makes sense, but that is so far away still.
We're talking summer, July.
Yeah.
They're fools.
So best case scenario, just by doing, so it's a protocol situation where president really has little say, actually.
Nope.
Then it's state government, then it's local government. And in this case, local government, and then it's Disney. So local government is probably going to be in line with Disney. That said, I do not think for a second Disney parks anywhere in the country is opening until people can go to sporting events. I refuse.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, the same thing. They're trying to hold, part of this rumor is that they're going to host the remaining NBA season at the ESPN complex in Florida.
Okay, well, now at least we're speaking the same language because they have, in my opinion, it's only my opinion, I don't know, but just like education and work is kind of the same thing. You cannot go back to work if the kids can't go back to school, sort of a thing, or, you know, for all intents and purposes. I feel like that with sports and Disney, you just can't. Disney has came out and said safety first, safety is all that matters. And the first thing they do, in my opinion, there's no way they're doing anything until sporting.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on pause on that topic for now because I want to go through some of these other things, and it's going to either solidify your opinion or make you change your opinion on that topic.
Right.
Okay, so that first bulleted item goes on to say sanitized ride vehicles after every guest exit.
This is
done.
Ian?
I mean, I think if you're going to be open before there's herd immunity or a properly distributed vaccine, yes, you have to do that. But I'm on the more hardline stance that you don't open until those two things are in place, period.
Okay. Now, let's assume that they do this, right? This is part of the thing. I tried to do the math in terms of, I'm thinking from an actual operational point of view. If we're waiting an hour for Space Mountain and they're cycling the ride vehicles maybe every 20 seconds, right? It takes about that long to get somebody off a vehicle and back on it before they ship it back out again, 20 seconds. How long does it take to sanitize the ride vehicle?
Longer. They have to run fewer rockets to give them a larger window between dispatches.
Right. So you're looking at another minute, perhaps, right? At least.
So, maybe not that long, but it's still enough that it has an impact over the day.
So is this under the assumption that everybody within the parks is going to have a mask on? Because otherwise it's completely moot.
Okay, we're not there yet. Well,
we have to be. We're talking
No, we don't. We're going, I don't want to talk about these points, but we're going to get to that.
It's out of order because if you touch something, you're standing right next to the person, so I don't give a shit.
I know that. But what the conversation that we're having isn't whether or not they should do this. That's not the conversation that we're having. It's not if they should. It's what does it mean if they do?
In terms of time.
Like, what is the experience that guests can expect if they're going to wipe down a vehicle after every guest exit?
It's going to be...
What is the wait time?
Long.
Do they have to allow, in order to accommodate that extra time, do they allow half as many guests, a third as many guests?
Well, that's just it. Is what's the gate? What's admission? How many people are allowed?
Well, they said they're going to reduce capacity, but I don't know what that number is. They don't say what that number is, if it's 50 or 25 or whatever. I don't know.
Bear in mind that also probably means fewer people in each ride vehicle, so people are physically spaced apart.
Great point, Ian. What are they going to put two people side by side in a rocket?
Not only that, but are they going to have the load time when the cars in front of you are being cleaned?
Well, it's exactly what Ian was saying, is that you have to reduce the number of vehicles that are active in order to create more distance in between. You can't just push constant vehicles through there like they do now. So I guess to my point is that I'm curious, is that an experience worth having? If you're waiting now, instead of an hour, are you waiting 2 hours?
Individually, each of these things you could probably put up with, but collectively, as you go through the list,
right, we're just getting started.
Not worth the trip.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, it's just an experience in general, because the people watching and the vibe and the tone and the theme. Like I would do it just to see it, but it would be a one-time thing because I'm just not interested in having my vision marred.
Yeah.
Well, because at the end of the day, the point of a theme park is escapism. And the more you're reminded of what you're escaping, the more it defeats the point of going.
Fair point, Ian. Whenever I would go to, okay, this is going to sound weird. I like going shopping to the grocery store and a Target. That's like a vacation for me. I'm so busy that just any reason to get out of the house to do something to take my mind off of whatever it is, I enjoy it. I enjoy just walking around a store. When this first started, was been filled with so much anxiety being in Target and being in a grocery store. It's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable. Are we going to be enjoying that experience when we're constantly being reminded of all the little rules that are in place and all the little the constant sanitization and all that
or
stuff.
That you can't trust the people around you because they might not even know. Yeah, no.
I absolutely would not at all.
But to your point, Ron, I would do it because I'm also a freak and I like to shop on Black Friday because I like a good train wreck. I would be just to watch.
Well, I would do it for the sake of saying that I did it. Like, I want to see it, even though I don't. Yeah. Like, how do you miss the opportunity? It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. We're going to go there just to tell the stories of what it was like when we went, but it's strictly educational purposes.
Exactly. I don't know if I'd be like, woohoo! Disneyland.
I mean, it is, to your point, I agree about going in the world, and the same things, like I'll go for runs and things. There's this vibe. I had been tweeting about this weeks ago or whatever. Yeah. There's this vibe of The Walking Dead out in like the world. Oh, yeah. Going to grocery stores, you're seeing lines and you're seeing the mass. But what is really weird about it is, like, you almost take it personal. Like, you see somebody down the sidewalk and you're walking and you see them cross the street. You're like, holy moly.
You're the zombie.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's just it's foreign.
Okay, let me go to the next one. Health checks would be introduced at every security checkpoint, bag check. This would include temperature checks and a Q&A, I'm quoting this, a Q&A which includes asking locations that you have traveled in the past 14 days.
What does the temperature have to do with anything, by the way?
The idea of temperature is, if someone's caught that, it's a little late already, but the idea is that if you have a fever, no coming in. But at that point, you've already been near a bunch of people, so it's a little defeats the point, but it's the idea, it's like security theater. It's there to be better than nothing.
It's theater.
It's all it is skimming. It's skimming the egregiously sick.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's just assume the egregiously sick say F it and they try to go to the park anyway. That's just, I can't even imagine that scenario. But
right. But the temperature thing.
People go to Disney with the flu every year.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't believe the temperature thing at all, by the way. I'm not buying
it. I'm curious about this, the interview, for two reasons. I want to be there when they ask the question, where have you been in the last 14 days? And the answer they get tells them you can't come in. How does that conversation go? Because Florida is a international park.
Right. Well, there's other things at play because there's a 14-day automatic quarantine at the airport anyway. Like, there's just things. There's so many other things.
So Ian, is that more theater?
I'm not sure. I want to say, in any case, it goes back to that individually, each of these things, regardless of how effective they are, would we be worth putting up with, but altogether, it's the point of going.
Well, I guess I just want to know, what is the answer that they get that they're looking for that's a no? Because to me, I would think that the answers, they're all yeses. Everybody's coming in. There's not an answer that they could get that would say, no, you can't come in. Right. Mainly because the United States is the freaking epicenter.
It's just like this whole thing. It's like going across the border. Like, do you have any fruit with you? No. They don't check. Go.
Right. Well, they don't even ask that. They just wave you. Have you been to the border? They don't even stop the cars anymore.
I know. It's such I mean, it would slow the process down, but the asking of the questions would be very quick. The temperature, it would certainly slow it down because we've all three of us and everybody watching is going to have gone through bag check and seen some very, very slow paces going through everything. It will slow it down for sure. And it's already slow. So I would hope that they would then have a single or no bag lines, many of them.
Well, but is there going to be a no coronavirus queue also? Like you already have your that's what we need. We need, right. Oh my God.
No, you know what we need? I already thought about this. You know what we need is the same way you have to flash a card to go, a weed card or whatever. Like if you're this is what this is going to get to is there's not going to be a vaccine. So that conversation is not even going to happen, but the testing. So if you're testing, then you have the immunity if they can figure out what that is. And then you get a card. So every 60 days or whatever, you have to get that thing. And now you're going through with a pass and an immunity card.
Ron, do you know how well that would go over with the freedom isn't free crowd?
Health is health, though. I mean, you can't.
They don't care, Ron.
There's a whole bunch of societal implications that'll have to be dealt with at that point.
Right. The socio-political.
How? I don't have an infectious disease? I don't see what the problem is.
Oh, no, that's a larger conversation. That's all.
Right. Well, yeah, what we're saying is that there's a socio-political aspect to that conversation that people are not going to tolerate.
Well,
not everyone, but some, enough.
Well, then none of this is going to make sense. So the only answer, if that is true, then the only answer is the parks do not open until there's a vaccination.
You're getting ahead of things again.
Well, I'm just saying we can't talk about all these possibilities. So everything we're talking about is hypothetical.
It is very hypothetical. But I'm asking. Okay, so Ian's already out. He's not going in. He was out after the first one, I think. Well, no, you probably could have tolerated maybe sanitization, I guess, right, Ian? I mean,
again, I have patience for lots of individual things, but again, the more the escapism reminds me of what I'm trying to ignore than why am I there.
Right.
The other thing that has to do with that is my easy answer would be I'm not really interested in going on the rides anyway, because many times I go to Disneyland, I don't go on any rides. I'm not there for that. But then that means if there's no other attraction going on whatsoever other than rides, because there's no gathering for Dapper Dans, there's no gathering for parades, there's no gathering situations going on other than attractions. So you're simply going to Disneyland to go on an attraction, and you're gonna have to deal with this.
Imagine a Disney park where you never stop moving. That's the goal, I think, is where you're constantly in motion, or you cannot stop and stand, because we are incapable, I think, as a collective. Individually we can, but as a collective, we are incapable of minding 6 feet. Right. But to that point, I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a post on Twitter earlier tonight that I saw. Shanghai has put in the parks, they put 6 feet indicators like you see in stores, like in the queues. There's actual stickers on the ground that tell you where to stand in the queue.
That's great for a queue or when you're waiting for a ticket, but once you're actually inside the park where there's walkways, that nearly impossible to enforce.
Well, and that's kind of like when you're at a grocery store, and you just keep, as long as you're not stopped, okay? Like I feel like I'm quasi safe. It's like putting your foot on the floor when you're drunk, or keeping your feet inside the covers at night when you're a kid. As long as I'm moving at the grocery store, I feel like I'm more or less okay, but it's when I stop and I share space with a person, even if they're, a few feet away, that I start to get a little uneasy. Likewise at Disneyland, that's what I'm getting at before, is that it's as long as I'm in motion, moving throughout the queue, I feel like it's not so bad because the coronavirus can't catch me if I'm moving. You know what I mean?
That's not really how it works, but
no, I know. I'm talking about my own mental health, like how I feel about it. I get it. We're weird creatures, so we're all going to deal with this differently. But I just, like you were saying, as soon as you stop and to watch the Dapper Dans or to stop in a queue for any reason or to get food, that's when things start to get a little bit more dicey, I think.
Well, I'm going to say, is there anything to stop for? From what it sounds like, nothing. There's literally going to be nothing except for attractions in this hypothetical world.
Well, there'll be the 6 foot markers. I think if I understand what your question is, like they have at Shanghai.
No, I'm saying there's going to be nothing. There will be nothing except for attractions. There's going to be no entertainment.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, anything. Yeah, entertainment is pretty much done.
Right. So that's why I'm saying.
Except for the Disneyland band, because I heard in the other rumor that I heard, the Disneyland band can come out and just keep like they do that March Down Main Street thing.
Just not stop it. Just not stop.
Just don't stop.
I would think that blow and spit through a horn would be bad. Yeah.
Well, as long as you're 6 feet away, it can't get you, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it can. It can go up to 27 feet in breezes.
So we need a 27-foot
social
distance protocol?
No. This is what Dr. Fauci came and said. Look, those are such extreme. It's true, but it's so rare and extreme. Blah blah blah. 6 feet is pretty much the world we're going to live in.
All right. Okay, so. The rumor that I read, the article, or not article, but the post, they make no mention of how they are going to address minding social distancing protocols inside of a queue. There's still no discussion on that, but obviously the stuff they're doing in Shanghai is probably a clue as far as that goes. But it's just tricky because I feel like there's plenty of people who just don't care. There's enough people who just don't care that it's hard to, like, how do you keep people, how do you encourage people to mind even the minimal protocols in, like, Peter Pan? Can you imagine Peter Pan? Like, what?
Yeah.
That's such a tiny little queue.
Some of it.
What's that, Ian?
I was saying the switchbacks would have to skip every other one, which means you have less queue space as well.
Or do you think it's a possibility that they would rate an attraction as being social distance ready or not, and that would fall under the not category, and they wouldn't even open it?
Well, I know Universal put out a survey for Orlando talking about things. Would you be okay if we did this or did that? And one of their questions was, what if we just didn't run any inside attractions, only outdoor ones and no shows? Which, in a modern theme park that isn't roller coaster focused, is almost nothing.
Yeah.
Disneyland probably would not be able to do that because, again, most things are indoors. But
yeah, that's dicey.
They have to deal with the number of people that they allowed in, so it wouldn't be quite the issue we think, because there's going to be a small percentage of people that typically go that are actually going to be in the park. So the disbursement throughout creates like reasonable lines, or there's a cast member at each location basically saying, no more queuing up here.
To that point, Ron, going back to the sanitizing a ride vehicle, I feel like one of two things has to happen in order to make that possible. You either have to hire more people or take more time in between vehicles in order to get that done. And I don't feel like you can do that quickly and with reduced staff. Noting that we're going to be at a third capacity, let's just say, for example, do they maintain a full staff, or do they maintain a light staff in response to that to cut costs? How does a light staff keep these things clean in time?
And at what point is it actually cheaper just to not run the park at all?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there's a guy out there who's really good at math who can figure this out. And that's Disney's going to base their decision in some part, at least, on that number, on at least a break-even number.
Well, they want any income they can get right now, because their entire business is dependent on disposable income.
God, and who's got that? Honestly.
Yeah, they're definitely going to ramp up staff, because they're going to have whole new policies and procedures in place. There's going to be they have to set it up for this new world we're going to enter, whether it's 2021 or summer. And they don't know what that is yet, so they haven't even done it yet.
That does remind me, though, Ron, that Bob Iger has been on record as saying he envisions a future of Disneyland running with less employees, less staff.
He was talking about the company at large. Not
I know that, but I mean, Disneyland's part and parcel of that, isn't it?
I assumed they were talking about just the company at large.
Yeah.
I'm talking. Well, yeah.
Okay.
That's different context.
I got one more for you, and this one's gonna blow your mind. And we teased this, or we talked about it actually in the live stream last week as a possibility. Guests will have to sign additional legal forms clearing Disney of liability for potential exposure to COVID-19.
100%.
I mean, that would probably just be in your updated terms when you buy a ticket or renew your pass, because that kind of stuff is already in there. It would just be updated to include COVID.
Yeah, I feel like you don't even have to sign anything. You just put that on the ticket. It's
that goes to
risk.
Yeah, that point goes to the larger case, like safety first. Also, how can they rid themselves? This all goes to branding. How can they rid themselves of liability? And that is absolutely at the top of the list. So whatever the answer to that is, that's at the top of their list. How are we not having blood on our hands no matter what? Goes back to can't open until there's a vaccine.
Well, okay, so this final thing does bring me back to the part that you want to get to, I'm sure, that you're trying to hear again. But the part for me that blows my mind a little bit is not so much that they're doing this or requiring that. I mean, it's an easy no-brainer. Disney cannot get sued. They simply cannot. Because I mean, it would be over. Business would be over at that point. But that, for me, in my mind, is the idea of giving away those rights, the idea of assuming that risk, of saying, my God, Disney is telling me I might catch an infectious disease in their parks. Do you want to go in anyway? Is that enough to make me turn around and go home?
For me, absolutely.
For me, no, because it's never going to get there. No, I mean you're already dealing with hepatitis C and measles and those type of things.
That's true. This is another angle to this question that I feel like is interesting, and it's like both of you were saying before. At what point does this become even reasonable to do? Florida says it's cool. Governor says, come on in. State's open. Disney, open your doors. We're good to go. You guys can go ahead and open. Just give us your plan, and we're good. Disney says yes. What number is acceptable above zero for cases that arrive or occur in Disneyland for either cases or deaths? I mean, is there an acceptable number? Just in terms of publicity. Never mind the liability.
I'm not budging. They are not opening.
Right. That's okay. So that's my point. Is that
Well, I'm sorry. All I was going to say was they had a mission statement on this. They specifically came out and said safety first under whatever circumstances it is. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But that was their official position on this. And I just coming from the NFL how they are when it comes to brand, and we know how Disney is when it comes to brand. I don't think no matter what these costs are, which they've mitigated because there's other expenses that go with these things as well. So it's less than we think actually. Yeah. But because of that, they're not going to take any sort of risk of whatever Florida does. In my opinion, I don't see it. However, if Florida sports gets crowds, then to me it's a conversation. Until then, no way. Disney will not be first. Disney will not be first. I agree with
that. Ian?
Yeah, no, it's not going to be this summer. I know we would all love this to magically be cool, but it won't be this summer. It just won't.
Well, I guess my question is, do you believe that Disney would be okay with even one death from
pre-vaccine? I say no, because they care more. Their reputation. This is blood on their hands, so to speak. They won't.
My most cynical side says, on some degree, they could get desperate to be like, well, maybe, but I would most certainly hope there'd be enough scrape of humanity to say no, even one's not okay.
What are the optics of Walt Disney World opening while all the other parks are closed?
Bad.
it's awful, and it's awful, and that's what they're not going to jeopardize. That's what I think. But
what are the optics of Disney requiring their guests to state on, in writing that you're okay with the risk? Right? I mean, think about that. Like, never mind the liability, never mind that, okay, so they don't want to get sued, but that's a thing that you're going to ask your guests to do?
It's putting them, it's more, I guess I'm looking at it like reverse engineering the other way. Like, they won't allow you have to protect guests from themselves, but you have to be the leader.
I've been saying this over and over. The states, the government, Disney, the NFL, they don't want to end the games. They don't want to do this. They're doing it because you can't be trusted.
Right.
That's the whole point of these stay-at-home orders.
Yeah.
We can't just say, hey, can everyone please stay home? No, we're telling you need to stay home.
Meanwhile, that's exactly what they're doing in Sweden.
And
drives me nuts.
Keep in mind that so summer comes and then spring. So we're going to have these relaxed states opening, and these sorts of things are going to happen. And it's imminent that in the fall, this is going to surge again. Well, to what degree, we don't know, but for it to come back like flu season, so to speak. I mean, I guess nothing's imminent because we don't know, but
yeah,
listening to Fauci, for example, like the experts on influenza, on how this works, they do expect it to come back in the fall. Now, we might have completely under control in the testing thing. To Ian's point, I agree with that. The one caveat to full-on vaccination, which is not going to happen until 2021, but the one caveat to that is everybody has tests almost at will where you can be tested. Then all of a sudden it seems like it goes back to, I was saying about the card. If you have a test that you're claiming, you can get in whatever. You don't not necessarily have to have a card, but just saying the testing, that element is a wrinkle that I don't really know the answer to.
And we're still so far away from that.
Well, the answer to your question is that it won't ever happen as long as we're in a for-profit healthcare system. If you make those tests free, you might have something there. But I think, if we're paying for those tests, then I'm just going to, there's going to be enough people that are going to say, I'm not going to test it. No.
Yeah, that's a whole.
Especially when healthcare is so often tied to jobs, and now people are furloughed or don't have work.
Yeah,
I'm taking the leap of faith naively that I'm thinking of that as the government. That's on.
That it's going to be free, a free test?
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be from the get-go, but that's changed 100 times.
I don't know, Ron.
well, I know. I don't know anything. Well, hey, he says it, and then something else happens, and he says something else, and then something else happens. So I don't know. I mean, yeah. So okay, fine. So forget that. Then now it goes right back to vaccination.
Yeah. Well, which by the way also won't be free.
No, but it doesn't matter if you're. I mean, if there's a vaccination, if you get it, then you're fine.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So I guess going through all these permutations or whatever, or it just sounds like they shouldn't. Finally, to say, Ron, the question now is they probably shouldn't, or the answer is they probably shouldn't open in July, even if they're allowed to.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not opening in July. Disneyland, I'll bet a limb, Disneyland is not opening in July. There's no way. This is not even a rational conversation.
What if
Comic-Con canceled, and that's in July?
Well,
how about the
Comic-Con though is like that's really close contact.
It's really it's not any closer, further apart than theme parks.
Really?
Not really. It's not physically, yes, but at the end of the day, it's effectively the same. Like once you're that close, it doesn't really matter if you're a foot apart or 2 inches.
Yeah. All right.
The governor of California straight up says there's not going to be sports until 2021 in my state. Do you think they'll allow Disneyland to open? No.
Well, okay, yes, I would agree with you there, but we're talking about Florida.
Right, but they're a little more
because DeSantis and Newsom are not on the same wavelength. They're on the opposite ends of the wavelength.
Okay, then let's go to and then it goes to Iger. So then because he'll get the last call because it's Disney. It's governor, local, Disney. Yeah. So then Iger, even if you map this out in a timeline wise, just be the phases set down by the federal government is 14 days of trajectory going down. And then 14 days after that is what? Testing or whatever, when the testing has gone down. And then 14 days after that is limited social distancing. So that's 2, 4, 6 weeks. In a best case scenario, Florida can't open for 6 weeks whenever the
that's June.
Right. No, I know. But that's if all these things are perfectly. They're not even there yet.
No. I don't even know Florida's numbers right now. Have they peaked or are they? I don't even know.
I think they're getting hammered because all their beaches were open in South. I don't know the exact number.
Woo, Florida!
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers. No, I'm not sure. I do think California is amazing though. We are so save the earth and so liberal and all of those things that the second we got wind of this as a group collectively, I mean, government had something to do with it. But our curve is as slow. I mean, per capita is as flat as it can be. I mean, there's thousands.
In California, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, California. I remember. Didn't Newsom write a letter to the White House asking for one of those medical ships? You know, the hospital ship.
Yeah, a Navy medical ship.
Yeah, and he had said that California could lose 100,000 souls in that letter.
Yeah.
And I think we're at 1,000.
I think we're at 1,000. And per capita wise, it's a very small percentage.
I feel like California did a pretty good job.
California's curve is one of the best in the entire nation. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It really is.
But a lot of that has to do with but that's, we've closed Disneyland. We closed the
Well, that's true. It does. It also it's the biggest save the world state that we have.
Yeah.
So when these type of things happen, that's why there's no toilet paper.
All right. Well, okay. Having said all this, I miss you guys, and I really wish it was possible that it was in a state where we could go and hang out. I would even hang out with you guys 6 feet apart the whole time. It would be hard to keep you on frame, but yeah, I don't know how I would do that, but I wish to just down to the bottom of my soul that I could be at Disneyland with you guys right now. It's bumming me out on a daily basis.
Yeah, I agree. I miss the vibe. I miss the wandering. Miss the whole thing.
Liz has been watching a lot of Fresh Baked on, just casually in the background, and I'll walk in the room. I got to turn it off. I can't watch the shows like on when she's watching them. I'm like, I can't do it.
The only park footage I've watched lately are ride-throughs of international parks. I've never been there anyway, so I don't have it. Oh no, I missed it. I'm like, no, I've never been there. It's fine.
There you go. Well, I do have. I've been working on this project for a while now. I'm getting close. I'm probably maybe a week away, I think. I'm going to dump the entire park on YouTube. Every ride, show, restaurant, gift shop, in a choose your adventure format, where you start at the park and you just kind of make your way through the park by clicking the links at the end, and hopefully that's something that people will enjoy. That's all I got. That's all I've been working on for the
that's awesome.
The last 4 weeks.
Cool.
You need to think about how many different incantations there are of walking from, say, the Matterhorn to every possible.
That's the hardest part. The hardest part, Ron, is finding footage of me walking from one ride to another in a way that's like fluent with what's happening within the viewer's experience.
You talk about exponential because it's unbelievable how many different places you could go from one place to another. But that's awesome. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, okay, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. That's all I wanted to cover with you guys tonight. If I've got, maybe we can do this again. If I got another topic, maybe we'll just do something casual and fun on another night. Does that sound good?
Yeah, anytime.
Pretty good.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Bye, Fresh Baked.
Bye.